Bulls end Leinster's unbeaten run in spectacular style. My name's Mark, let's talk rugby. What a performance and a win from the Bulls in this one. The opening few minutes, they're holding on to the ball well. Even when they do knock it on, they win a penalty at the scrum. They get themselves to the edge of the Leinster 22 and they're there for a while, not really penetrating further, but they are winning penalties. They decide then to take the points. Goosen opens the scoring from the tee and we're at 3-0 to the Bulls. We then have a scrappy period of play, but crucially, the Bulls not allowing Leinster to settle into the game. They're nicking line-out ball. We see some good kick chases, pressure in defence and on attack. Bulls then make a break with Aronson. He gives a lovely pass at the back of his hand to Moody, who chips over, but then O'Brien gets to the ball first. It's a drop out to Leinster. Bulls then get their first try of the game. Some strong carries from Van Staden and Foster gets them to win about 5 meters, and then Nokia powers over. And that guy, he's had a great season. He's really led from the front for the Bulls as captain. It's converted by Hussein. We're at 10-0. Leinster then tried to respond, but the Bulls' aggressive defence is forcing errors and they can't really get into good position. Bulls attack from a line-out and Moody almost gets through, but he's got a foot in touch. It's a 5-metre line-out to Leinster, but the throw isn't straight. Leinster, though, do manage to win penalty from the scrum and are able to clear, but still all the pressure is coming from the Bulls. We're playing most of the game in Leinster's half and it feels like another score is coming. Aronson and Creel then combine up the short side and Aronson goes over to score. It's converted for 17-0. Leinster finally get a chance with a line-out in the Bulls 22. They go through a couple of phases after the line-out, but then McCarthy's pass is intercepted by Lowe. He doesn't have the pace to go all the way, so he kicks ahead. Leinster get to the ball first, but the Bulls manage to turn it over. Moody then puts a grubber through and Aronson collects it for his second try. Is converted for 24-0. Bulls then go to the corner from penalty just before the break. Leinster trying to keep them out. They tie up them all eventually. So Papier snipes and he's stopped short. Globler then picks and has the power to get over for the bonus point try. It's converted. It's 34-0. It's our halftime score. Leinster really struggling to get a foothold in the game, but it's all credit to the Bulls. Bulls showing more in their backline than we've seen for most of the season. A lot of the time, especially when, in the knockout stage of Heineken Cup and around that kind of period, saw them a lot where they were just trying to rely on the forwards and the power and not really trying to offer anything else in attack. But here we can see some, good mix of power from the forwards and really strong carries, but also some subtlety from them and an ability and a desire as well to get it out wide and to exploit space too. Into the second half then, Vermark with a lovely off-road from the deck keeps the ball alive. Papier then breaks through a gap as the Leinster defence becomes disconnected. He offloads to Grobler, who goes over to score. Conversions missed. We're at 36-0. Things then get worse for Leinster as Clarkson gets a yellow card. Basically, like too many penalties, in the danger zone, and he's the one that gets a 10-minute break. Bulls punished him pretty much immediately. We have a kick pass from Hussein out to Moody, who beats Dave Carney in the air. He collects the ball on the try line and then lands to score. Great take from him there. Converted from out wide, we're at 43-0. Hussein then with a bullet pass out to Creel. He puts it back to Aronson and then he gives it off to Gans, who goes over for his first URC try. Conversions missed, 48-0. Leinster then finally muster a score. We have some strong carries from Soroka, Lasisi, Turner and Deegan, and then finally Mill Milne goes over, it's converted for 48-7, but not even Leinster can come back from here. Leinster then get back to 15, but the Bulls aren't done yet. Russell kicks the ball dead from his own half. It's a scrum back. Bulls strike from the scrum. Moody comes on a nice loop, gets it to Gans, and then it's back inside for Foster to go under the posts. Some nice interplay there, and finding it very easy to get through the Leinster defence. At this stage, it's converted for 55-7. Leinster then making some good progress as they look for some kind of consolation from the game, but the ball goes to the deck. Gans hacks it on. It kind of sits up for Moody, and then he has a clear run in from 60 metres. It's converted for 62-7. Bulls almost have another one shortly after, but there's a forward pass from Hussein. And then the rest of the game is played largely between the two 22s. Moody has a half chance for his hat trick. Basically, the ball is kicked through, but Brown gets there before him. It's played over by the Bulls, so he kicks it dead so that Leinster get the dropout. Vermaak then gets a yellow card for indirect contact with the neck while carrying. So basically one of these where his forearm is away from his chest as he's carrying the ball, and it's not the one that he's carrying the ball in. He makes contact with the chest, rises up to the neck. It's a yellow card. But then it's actually the Bulls who create the final chance of the game, despite having a man less. They win a penalty, go to the corner. Then they win another penalty 5 minutes out, back to the corner again, work it in field, but then Matazima knocks on, and that's the game. Final score is 62-7. Let's have a look at some of these stats from the game. So starting with attack, tries 9-1 for the Bulls. Bulls really took their chances well, but they did the hard work as well to create them. And as I said previously, they look so much better with ball in hand, and I've covered a lot of their games. If you go check back on the channel this year, and yeah, they look better than I've seen them for probably since the start of the season, when they did have that kind of combination of backs and forwards working for them. Possession 71% to the Bulls, 29 to Leinster. Bulls, anytime Leinster had a few phases of possession, they were putting that pressure on and they were forcing errors. They're getting in there and turning the ball over. Clean breaks 16 to the Bulls, 2 to Leinster. Again, it kind of speaks, defenders beaten as well, 30-6. Speaks to the fact that they look far more dangerous with ball in hand than they have been for probably a couple of months now, where it wasn't just that mindset of playing an 8-man game and keeping it in the forwards. They were looking to be expansive, but also the forwards were actually looking for to attack space rather than carry into contact, and they were also looking to offload and keep the ball alive. And you see that in the offloading numbers as well, 17-8, and a lot of those were actually coming from the forwards in trying to deny Leinster any rucks and any chance to pinch the ball and turn it over. Into defensive stats then, territory 69% for the Bulls, 31 for Leinster. The Bulls, not just with ball in hand as well, I think with the kicking duels that happened in the game, they got the better of most of them and ended up in the Leinster half because of that. Number of tackles, 63 for the Bulls, 189 for Leinster. I talked last week about Leinster against the Lions, where generally it's rare to see Leinster having to make more tackles than their opposition, but in this one shows how good the Bulls were. Leinster had to make 3 times as many tackles. Missed tackles then, 6 for the Bulls, 30 for Leinster. Leinster could play now the whole rest of the season. They could get to the final of this competition and the final of the Champions Cup and possibly not miss that many tackles over those games put together. Tackle success then, 91% each. So, decent amount of, in terms of success, like 91 is pretty good. talk about previously, kind of 86 to 88 is probably a pass mark in the URC and generally in European rugby as well. So to get into 91 is a good defensive performance from both. I won't feel like that from Leinster though, with those, it's just the sheer number of tackles that they had to make, and those, missed tackles for them will feel like it was a poor defensive performance overall. Turnovers then 1-7 each, but Leinster's turnovers didn't really get them much in terms of trying to establish themselves in the game, and the Bulls were just, their turnovers were basically playing into that and halting any chance that Leinster had to respond to those early scores. And once we kind of got to, kind of 3/4 of the way through the first half, I think that the game was done at that stage. Anyway, kicking then, 8 successes from the Bulls, 1 from Leinster. I thought Houston was pretty good from the tee. Like, he had some tight kicks to get. He didn't get them all, but he did slot some ones from out on the touchline. Penalty conceded then, 6 for the Bulls and 13 for Leinster. Again, we don't normally see Leinster on the wrong side of the penalty count, but that accumulation of penalties led to that yellow card. At that stage, Bulls did have the game won, but they punished them further as well during that yellow card period. Okay, so where are the two teams from here? So starting with the Bulls, like, they've been in poor form lately. Like, they basically dropped from, they were third in the table at one stage, right, and just dropped like a rock. And it looked like they were going to miss the playoffs at one stage, but this is going to be a big shot in the arm for them going into the knockout stages now. It doesn't matter who was in that Leinster team, because it's still a great achievement from them, and the record books, it's not going to have an asterisk beside it saying that it was what, you have people claiming it's Leinster's third team or whatever. I don't really care about stuff like that. I think, if you're praising Leinster for winning last week against the Lions, well, then you've got to praise the Bulls for beating pretty much the same team this week by such a huge margin. But now that they've got the Stormers in the quarterfinals, so I think, they're going to have, obviously go into that with a lot of confidence from this, but I think they're going to have to raise their game from what we've seen other than this game lately to get over the Stormers in that quarterfinal. Will go in as the underdogs, but I think if they can keep the mix of, strong carries from the forwards, that offloading game, and a desire to also, make use of the dangerous backs that they have, they could give the Stormers a close run affair there and possibly get themselves into a semi-final. Leinster, they got a taste of what so many teams have suffered at their hands down through the years. Sending a weakened team to South Africa at the end of last season and keeping the first team at home didn't quite work out for them then, and they're going to hope that history doesn't repeat itself this season.